This is Brandon Phoenix, a.k.a. I Also Hate Pitt, joined by...
Yo. Back in the building. J Fiend, B Fiend. Here we are with the grown man, the NFL legend, the Mountaineer legend.
The pride of Trenton, New Jersey and Valley Forge Academy, Mr. Gary Stills. Gary, thank you for joining us today.
Appreciate it, fellas. Thanks for having me on, man. I've been trying to get back on here to speak with y'all anyway, just to talk a little bit.
Well, you got a lot going on with your son, one son in the NFL, the other one making all conference teams in the preseason for the West Virginia Mountaineers. We're, of course, talking about Darius and Dante Stills. What's been going on with you?
Man, I'm just chilling, living a good, peaceful retirement life. Being a proud dad, that's more enjoyable than anything, to see your kids prosper, do well, and grow. And not only that, follow your footsteps almost exactly. Instead of going to Kansas City, he went to the Raiders. So he kind of stepped off the boundary a little bit, but he's still in the AFC West.
I was just about to say, I saw some pictures with you and the Chiefs. I remember you with Dante Hall on them kick returns, killing it. And
yeah,
then
man.
Goes to the Raider Nation. I mean, I know. Hold up, I know that's your son. You support him, you love him. But my dad was a diehard Chiefs fan. He raised me and Brandon to know that John Elway had done something incredibly horrible, that I grew up thinking that he was a terrible person. So I'm a Chief through and through. Man, your son to go to the Raiders? Any mixed feelings?
No, man. Hey, I'm retired, man. So, I have no ties or no connection to any team. Any team that decides they want to pick my child, I'm with them. That's an honor. That's a privilege, for playing the NFL. And when I was young, I was picky. And then when I got drafted to Kansas City, I wasn't picky anymore. So now I'm at that point where, hey, my son can go to the Green Bay Packers, Minnesota. Who knows where Dante going to be next year? I'm just a proud dad riding the wave, man. Because at the end of the day, hey, they got that shield on their back, and they living the dream.
As long as they can sign them checks and get them cash,
you
right?
know what I'm saying. Hey, that's all. Hey, the man can take care of himself now. Great job, Janine, for doing her thing, carrying the mail, carrying the weight, 99% of it, devoting her whole life to them boys, man. And I'm just so proud of her. Actually, I'm just honored and privileged that she was able to do that while I was actually doing my thing. Now she put another kid in the NFL, to follow his dad, and another one going to be in the NFL. So, hey, I give her a lot of credit for that. So,
shout to Janine Floyd, did her thing.
Yes.
Friend of the show.
She did.
Absolutely, man. Look, we had you on here, man. We have all kinds of questions to ask you about your time in the NFL, about your time at WVU. But, man, I feel like you had something to get off your chest. You want to come here to RVK. You want to speak out and let it be known. Or you want to talk about your boy Darius, who just went to the Raiders. Or you talking about I don't want to say Blitnikov. What was defensive lineman of the year name? Not Blitnikov. What is it?
I don't know.
Anyway, defensive lineman of the year, Dante, because everything I'm hearing from all the guys, we've talked to multiple different dudes from West Virginia University. Everybody says, watch out for Dante this year. What you want to talk about, baby?
Hey, of course, watch out for Dante this year. Dante going to be, he was just out here. He was in Kansas City with me for a week. Then he came to California here with me for a week. So we've been talking, getting his mind right, his brother being in the league, because, little did everybody know, Darius was always the trendsetter for him. Went to college, went to West Virginia, tested it out, did his thing. Dante was in high school. Now Darius is in the pros, doing his thing. Dante's coming up behind him. So Dante, he's trailing because, he's always been put in that position. But he's gonna be fine. Now he's there by himself. He has to be that leader. Darius is not there, and I think he's gonna really, really carry the mail. I mean, have you seen him? The boy is big and strong. I was just looking at him like, wow. Sometimes I can't believe he came from me. But hey,
he looks bigger this year.
That boy's a monster, man. Yeah, he's a monster, man.
That's the thing. You want to talk about Darius and Dante, and we love Darius, and Darius works hard. The thing we love, and Mountaineer Nation loves, the people who love Darius, is his work ethic. He's going to grind.
Yes.
He's going to give you 100% every single time.
Motor.
the truth is, though, Dante's just a bigger dude. He's bigger. He's
Right.
more athletic. He's stronger. So we're excited to see what he could do with West Virginia this year. For you, watching Dante, watching him grow, a young man, now in college, first few years, how big of a jump can he make this year for West Virginia? Can he really have that change of game impact that we need in Morgantown?
Of course, yeah. Even when Dante, come from his sophomore year to his junior year in high school, he made a click because I was just giving him these key things that he needed to do. Get off the ball. Get off. He worked on that, and then as soon as he did that, he took off. I think this year, he's smelling the blood of the NFL. I think that's what's happening. He's gonna see his brother out there doing his thing, and living that dream. And Dante, one thing I can say about Dante, he's inspired by his bloodline. Darius just a crazy dude, man. Darius just a dude that you sit back and just be looking at him. You don't know what's going on in his mind. But Dante is emotional like me. He's inspired just like me. Darius is completely different. Darius that pit bull that sit in the backyard. You don't know whether he like you or not. Dante's just like me. You're gonna smile in your face and dominate. You know what I'm saying? But Dante's picked up on a lot of great things that I've taught him, and also the coaches at West Virginia taught him, and then be inspired by seeing his brother move on to the next level. And Dante's just gonna follow, man.
Hey, look, for real. Them boys inspired me too. Look, I know you ain't got a camera. I got the Dante and Darius haircut. Yo, son. Got me faded up. Top is high. Look, Mountaineers forever, baby. I'm rocking with it.
So,
and they seem to be hollering at the little shorties that support of anything. But I'm just saying. Hey, lady. Anyway.
You were saying that you were talking about the coaches. What was that like for you as a parent watching that coaching change from the Holgorsen era to the Neil Brown era?
I mean, I never liked that defense, man. That defense was a defense that can hold you. You couldn't do anything in that Holgorsen defense.
The 3-3-5, you mean?
No, that's terrible, man. You got to put guys, especially with Dante and Darius. I'm just going to point out my boys and what's the name? Mezzendorf, whatever.
Yeah, Key Mezzendorf.
What's his name? Yeah, he's him and Dante. I told if I ever get to look at him, I'm gonna say, yo, if you feed off Dante, you'll be great. Because they're gonna be looking at Dante, and that dude is sitting in the back, true sophomore. He's a beast too. So that defensive line is gonna be a monster, especially with them two.
What you think about Jalen Thornton? Have you checked out Jalen Thornton?
I haven't watched him as much, just kind of flashes. He got a lot of potential. He's just a little hesitant right now. You know what I'm saying? He's hesitant, and once he gets that, he's like, once he gets to say, this is your position, he's going to dominate. He's still learning. You know what I mean? He hasn't flashed out. What's up?
Real quick, we're back with Gary Stills joining the RVK one more time for another Gold and Blue interview. If you're just checking in, this is who we're talking to, Mr. Gary Stills, and he's putting a light on the situation as far as the defensive line is concerned in Morgantown.
The reason why I was asking you about Jalen Thornton, man, is, I keep getting these flashbacks. I get these flashbacks of 1998. The schedule release is Gary Stills. I keep saying Jalen Thornton. John Thornton. Amos Zaraway. The four of y'all across the screen. Man.
Oh yeah, on that Four Horsemen of me, it was me, Amos Zaraway, Foreman.
Sean Foreman.
Thornton, I think, and Bolger, right?
No, I didn't have Bolger. You and John Thornton.
John Thornton.
No, it was
Foreman is Zaraway.
We're looking at the picture.
Okay, well, I keep thinking about my man Mark Bolger, but John is a beast though. John Thornton was like, man. John Thornton was like this dude, right? Where you put him in there, and he gonna make 1,000 plays, no matter what. Strong leverage, not super duper fast, but super duper quick. John Thornton was a monster, man.
And he made a nice career in the
John
NFL.
Thornton on my defensive line. Oh yeah, and then you play that whole time. I had John Thornton on my line at any time because he remind me of a Vonnie Holiday. From the NFL, like you put that joke in, you can put John Thornton at defensive end, nose guard, 3 technique, and back at the other. You can put him at outside linebacker. I'm putting him in middle linebacker too. I like John. John's a beast.
And he's doing his thing for Rock Nation now too as an agent. So he's
he's
doing
doing
his thing.
Pushing the envelope forward on football and get some of these young players.
Hey, look, you were there for the glory days, 1998. We were supposed to go undefeated, man. I know it didn't work out that way, but I kind of want to look. We're going to talk about the Ohio State game here in a second. But tell me about Barrett Green. Tell me about Nate Terry. Weren't they a part of that same squad?
Yeah. Barrett Green, to me, honestly, you know what? I think that sometimes you can, like Barrett Green was that linebacker then that can dominate now.
Yeah.
He was like
he was a hybrid.
I forgot. He was a hybrid linebacker.
Before his time.
Super fast.
Yeah. Yep.
Playing well. They move. They move. He was like you take a Aaron Donald and put him in the NFL. He's 6 foot and he's dominating. If Barrett Green would have been in the era about 8 years later, where they started to switch to those smaller, quick middle linebackers and outside linebackers, he dominated. He played. We were playing way before our time, to be honest.
Yeah, 100% agree. I've thought about that a lot. Barrett Green was a missile too. He would hit you.
Yeah. Oh my God, Barrett Green had a lot of friendly fires. He gave me a hit pointer in practice one time. I said, Barrett, I'm on your team, man. Barrett, he's just going, man.
He said friendly fire.
He'd be the highly most penalized player in the league too.
He would, man. Because he's gonna hit you.
He gonna hit you anyway. And he gonna get penalized, but out of him and John Thornton, you put John Thornton and you put a Barrett Green back then, like me and Dante and Darius was talking about. Can your team beat our team? Yes, man. Y'all couldn't beat us. Our defense, y'all. Come on, man. We had a balance all the way around. Dante, you ain't had to figure out how to play the run or play the pass. I rushed the passer. John Thornton played everything. Barrett Green was all over the field. You had K.C. Schiller, believe it or not, middle linebacker, balling out. Gary Thompson. He put Porter back there at safety. I mean, we were just playing way. We were too small for that time.
Okay. So give me my answer, because I was just about to say, then why'd y'all go 9-4? But y'all was too small for that time. I got you. My question was, I'm sorry,
West Virginia. Honestly, I'm always say this: West Virginia is not that program that's going to dominate like that. I mean, I'm just being honest. From the recruiting, the location of the country, you're not going to ever get a net.
But in '98, didn't we have the players? I mean, we had Jerry Porter. We had
Mark Bolger, Sean Foreman, Saunders.
But think about it. Think about this. You're putting players in position that don't play that. Think about it. Jerry Porter, he's safety in the college. He plays wide receiver in the NFL. West Virginia just couldn't figure out where to put players at. Just think about it. Barrett Green was a player before his time. He's playing out of position at that time. You know what I'm saying? So you got Porter playing safety. He's a wide receiver. You had Sean Foreman was damn near a tight end playing wide receiver. Everybody was playing out of position, but they were playing good enough to win. Just think about it. If you think about it, offensive lineman was good, but you had the big country boys, but they were doctors and scientists. No, you're not going to win with a bunch of conservatives. You're going to have some killers and put them in the right position. Yeah. Other colleges do. You have if Alabama's recruiting you for this, they're going to recruit you for that. Like I came in as a middle linebacker. All of a sudden, I'm at a defensive end.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, if West Virginia recruited for the actual position and got a dominant player, you could. I mean, you switching out quarterbacks. You're trying to you're going to get the third string quarterback from Oklahoma. What's the dude name?
Austin Kendall.
Oh, and come on, man. You can't go to get a 13 guy and say, come here and dominate. It's not going to happen. He's a backup all day long.
So essentially, what you're saying is, because West Virginia can't get everybody that they need, they put the best recruits where they need them instead of playing them where they deserve to, should be.
And they play good with the hand that they're dealt, though. The one, like I said, you deal this hand, and I'm gonna play it to my best ability because I'm not going to ever get those dominant players. Most of the time, West Virginia get leftovers.
My question is about Ohio State. That huge game, 1998, Phil in the building, Milan Pushkar wasn't called that at that time.
Just Mountaineer Field.
It's just completely packed. Here
Right.
we go, first game of the year. It couldn't get any bigger. This might as well be the national championship. Ohio State comes in the building. Man, how was that? How did you feel? What stopped us? Why didn't we win? Who stopped you? I don't know if that is a thing. Let us know. I mean, only person I remember for the Ohio State team is Andy Katzenmoyer.
Joe Germain.
That's right.
See, I'm gonna tell you one thing about Ohio State. They were a powerhouse. If you think about it, they had everybody in position. You had your All-American middle linebacker. You had your All-American wide receiver. You had your Joe Germains. You had your Murray. You had everybody in position. They were built on powerhouse. When you just say you come over to West Virginia, right? If you go to the offense outside of Amos Zaraway, who else do you really, really have that people gonna fear?
Anthony
Nobody.
Beck.
Anthony Beck, look, Anthony Beck wasn't, at that time, you got to think about it, at that time, tight ends wasn't, they were already in the league and playing, or they were in California. What you had, Tony Gonzalez?
Yeah.
Dominant. Anthony Beck wasn't a super dominant tight end. He was a big tight end that can block. He wasn't that fast, strong, but he wasn't that, he going to get out. And we didn't have any game changers on offense outside of Amos Airway. Let's think about it.
That's true. That's a good point.
So when you got David Boston, he was there, and Joe Germain. Then you go on the defense. You had Antoine Whip. You had guys that you could say, you know what? When you got the skill positions, they gonna dominate, and that's what West Virginia did not have.
Is that how you felt before the game? Before the game started?
No. Okay, I'm sorry. I went off tangent. Before the game, I was hyped. I said, we going to dominate. We gonna ball out. We went out there and gave them the business, but, they V12'd us. They back-end us, and pulled out in front of us because they had a well-balanced powerhouse program. West Virginia don't have a balanced powerhouse program.
They should have won the national championship that year.
Who?
Ohio State.
Ohio State, yeah. But then outside of West Virginia, then you got to go on and play the other boys, and that's when Ohio State was kind of. I think Bush Davis left or something. No, that was Miami.
John Cooper was their coach.
No. I was thinking about Miami. I flashed into another situation, but they coaches were moving out. I mean, West Virginia. I mean, I hope I don't get beat in the head over this for the West Virginia fans, but West Virginia has not been a powerhouse since Majors, because they had that guy at that position.
They had flashes, but they haven't had the solidity.
Right. Never had the powerhouse team is because of recruiting and location of the country. In the country, seriously.
No, I agree. Even with Neyland, they did that every 5 years thing. So they go undefeated in 88, they go undefeated in 93. That's why a lot of people thought they could go undefeated in 98. They run into a buzzsaw with Ohio State. You guys played Ohio State, like you mentioned, all the greats that were there. All the guys we put in the NFL still didn't touch what Ohio State put in the NFL that year. They lost to Ohio State ended up losing to Michigan State and Charles Rogers, I believe it was. I remember that game, watching that game. And Ohio State blew it because John Cooper always seemed to blow the big game. Joe Germain had, I think, his worst game that year against Michigan State. And they didn't show up. And also they had trouble. I don't remember the whole season, but I know that John Cooper had trouble with Michigan, which is one of the reasons why he ended up having to go.
Amen.
But you're making a lot of good points. If people are upset about what you're saying, they're not paying attention. West Virginia has a very small window.
The truth is the truth.
Very.
And the thing.
And how?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. And how many quarterbacks have West Virginia had in the last 6 years?
Too many.
You're shuffling in. You're trying to, and you're playing the hype game. You don't let people play. You know what I'm saying? You don't let them play the show. It's like, you come in and you expect this great. He was like, well, Neil Brown is going to do this. Why are you giving these coaches all these praise? Like, don't do that. You gotta go out and recruit these players that going ball. It's too political. They're making it political. I think we got something in Neil Brown. Bro, let me tell you what. Head coach ain't going to win nothing. He's just going to disturb the players or make them comfortable. That's all the coach going to do. He's going to disturb them or make them comfortable. You got to go get some players that's going to ball out in their positions.
Do you feel like Neil Brown's doing that? Do you feel like he's going?
Oh
to
no. That wasn't towards Neil Brown. I'm just giving you, you shifting quarterbacks, you shifting coaches, and then you giving all these accolades before people even get in there.
They got to win first.
I got you. I just need that clarified. I need that clarified because there for a second I feel like he was coming at Neil Brown.
I don't know Neil Brown like that.
You talk about in general. Gotcha.
Just in general, like
yes.
I'm speaking in general on what the history of West Virginia. You always had a coaching issue. One coach leave in the middle of the night, and then what's the last coach there? I'm sitting there looking at TV. Next door, he down in Houston.
From Rich Rod to Dana.
Rich Rod to Dana, then Dana leave. He go to Houston. I don't know that. I'm like, yo, you gotta find some consistency here, man.
And you can't forget the whole debacle bringing in Dana with Bill Stewart there.
But you know what? I'm going to defend West Virginia a little bit because, like you said, we're not the elite program in the country. So this is what happens. Right. Sometimes people come along and take. Sometimes, and I feel like getting to the Big 12, the things that Oliver Luck did were good for West Virginia. And maybe they weren't the best, but like getting us into the Big 12 conference, now we're here with Shane Lyons, and it feels like he's making the right moves. I feel like with programs that aren't elite, this is part of the turnover. This is part of what happens. Because if you have something good, great teams are going to come take it. And then if you don't have something that's not working, once again, there's turnover. So it's one of the things where you have to stay a step ahead of the curve to figure it out.
So what school did Brown come from?
He came from Troy, down in Alabama.
Yeah, that's right. My point.
But hold up. Urban Meyer, when he went to Florida, what school did he come from? Utah.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Who was Urban Meyer? I'm going to ask you a question.
At Utah?
No.
I'm not talking about now after he won all his accolades. I'm talking about when he was at Utah, who was Urban Meyer? Somebody who had won at a small school.
Okay.
I'm not hating.
Every once in a while you get it. How many guys from JUCO? Irving, the guy, the defensive end from West Virginia, Irving.
Bruce Irving.
Yeah, Bruce Irving.
Bruce Irving. How many JUCOs come from West Virginia and dominate like that? Every once in a while, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He probably the most dominant JUCO that ever came out of West Virginia, right?
Him, Kevin White.
Yeah, Kevin White was nice too. Yeah.
That's it. Think about it.
True.
Where Kevin White at?
Hurt.
He's
still on the roster, though. I will give him that.
This ain't nothing to hit nobody, but you gotta think, man. West Virginia is in a place where ain't anybody get a chance, and it's hard for a coach to come up there in West Virginia and change that country school. That's just a country school, better in the hills. It's way different. It's harder to come into West Virginia as anything.
I agree. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yep.
To dominate, for real. Head coach, player, all that, because you got to find. I was a middle linebacker. The best thing that ever happened to me was I moved to another position and dominated, because I always wanted to do that anyway, quiet as kept. But they moved me to another position, and I dominated. But West Virginia, they got to find they got to find this niche, and they should have stayed in the Big East, if you ask me.
The Big East doesn't even exist anymore in football, though. It's the AAC now.
And here's the thing: it's not about the Big East. This day and age is all about money. And look at the money that's being raked in. I mean, look at all the new facilities.
There it is.
The expansion of the stadium, the new facilities. It's all about money, and the Big 12 is making more money than the Big East ever would.
Now, I do want to ask you, because you talked about this a little bit. You talked about coaches from the coaching standpoint. But what about players? How do you feel about the transfer portal, having played at the collegiate level and then now having sons at the collegiate level? How do you feel about this new phenomenon?
I mean, my era was, you grit on. You didn't have all this, whatever you did on Saturday, it was in the newspaper on Sunday. You didn't hear about anything unless somebody got hurt until that next Saturday. Now they walk the dog all the way up. They put a lot of pressure on these players. They put a lot of pressure on you to be great. It's another thing. They put a lot of pressure on coaches to be great. So you go in, then the next thing you know, Neil Brown gets the job, and they put 10,000 pounds on him. They say he's the greatest, come in, and then it's easy to disappoint people nowadays. But it's also easy to shoot up to the rocket moon undeserving too. So you got to be careful, just as a player and a coach. But to me personally, a lot of stuff is given. The one thing I like about Darius' situation, he always had to earn everything that he ever got. They underestimated him in every level. That's one thing I like about Darius' situation. But most people give him shit. They give it to you. How tall are you? Oh, you 6'7"? You 320? Oh, definitely, without a doubt. I ain't even got to see your footwork.
It's funny because we love this, man. We love you shouting out your sons and giving us like real truth and how you feel and give us a little bit of insight. And the truth is, like, for me, I don't understand. Like, you do all this research and all these different quizzes and tests and things and agility drills. When the truth is, you're just gonna select who you want to select anyway. But the truth is, Darius is a spot where you can prove it. The biggest thing you need is an opportunity. Right now, Darius has an opportunity. And baby, if I'm betting on it, I believe that Still's blood and his grind and his work ethic, I believe he's going to make plays as a Raider. He's going to make the squad. And maybe let's say he doesn't make the squad of the Raiders, I believe he's going to be in the NFL for a while. Why? Because I feel like his drive is higher than so many people. He's a that Javon Carter type drive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bulldog.
Right.
So it's a beautiful thing. And then next up, you got Dante Stills coming next year, and people are like, oh, should he worry? No, he's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster. There's a reason why he was a 4-star. There's a reason why every team in the country was coming after him. He's going to have no problem getting drafted. That's my opinion.
My opinion, I agree. I thought Darius should have been drafted as well. I agreed with everything Darius said on Twitter and other places, basically saying that there weren't so many players better than him at that position. I agree with him. But Dante, I think, is going. He's seen the process now. He's gotten to see the process. And like you said, he smells the blood of the NFL. So I think we're going to get a monster season out of him, like you said. You've talked about nutrition with those guys on top of their work ethic. It's interesting to me, like you said, how big he is, how strong he is. He looks bigger and stronger than he ever has. And I'm excited to see him put it into practice.
I feel like Darius was phoning back to Dante, like, look, this is what they got me doing to get ready for the combine. And Dante was like, all right, I'm doing all those workouts. Because both of them look more in shape, more lean than they had the last couple years.
Yeah. Darius when he went out to Florida to train, that he got a different perspective on. It's different between training for the combine and training for the game. I mean, he was training for the combine, training for the game is different. The nutrition, the diet. The deal is you could tell. I'm not a nutritionist by no means. I know what to eat, what not to eat. But, they live their own lives and they're in different situations. So it's like I can't monitor what they eat, how they eat, when they eat. So it does be a little difficult. There's times where Darius and has some issues. I sent him some money to go buy these supplements, go to get this for your joints and that's for your pain. It's all natural stuff. So you wouldn't have to be eating that other crap. But yeah, the nutrition was pretty hard to kind of, nail because they were, Dad, I'm hungry, man. And the training table's open and they got hog maws and collard greens. Okay, do your thing, man. I can't tell you not to go and eat that cornbread. But no pun to any coaches of the present, no pun to any coaches and players of the past. It's just that while you sit back over the last 20, 30 years and you're like, why West Virginia hasn't? You have to be truthful and to be honest. It's going to take a coaching staff to change the narrative. At one time they recruited from Florida. But they were getting guys. Most of the dominant players were staying home and the other ones was like, well, I think I got to go to West Virginia because I done got in trouble with this, blah, blah, blah. So we were getting, players like that. So it's like you have to really pay attention to what West Virginia get and who's coaching them and what their mind state is. Because Doc Holliday was the pipeline from Florida to West Virginia.
Yeah, he was.
Amen.
Yes, he was.
You know what I mean?
Don't give Doc his flowers for that, but he deserves them.
Yeah. Doc was recruiting them and he was bringing some monsters in. You know what I'm saying? John Hadley, Damon Cogdale, Gary Tompkins, Barry Green.
Yeah.
He was bringing them guys in, them beasts in. And he was doing all he could. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Don Needle was sitting back chilling,
Yeah. No, you're right. You're 100% right. A lot of people don't realize that.
Love it.
We love your perspective. We thank you for coming on the show. talking about Darius and Dante, but also talking about your time as well, Mr. Gary Stills.
And just blessing us with some real talk.
With the realness.
Behind the scenes, man.
Got it in. So we appreciate you once again. Gary will be having you back on again, I'm sure.
No question. No question.
Call me tomorrow, man. No.
All right, brother.
Get me as a regular. We can talk about everybody.
We'll talk about next time. We'll talk about the
his
NFL.
Cousin, everything.
And we'll talk about them taking Toradol out the NFL, but that's for another. That's for another
don't
segment.
do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, too late. Too late. It's already. It's going down.
I'm out the league, so I'm like,
Right.
that's gonna be a problem, man. You gonna see play go down. You can say what?
Amen.
That vitamin T, baby. Okay. Appreciate you, fellas.